Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Before I start, let me point you in the direction of the descriptions box where we have a link. That is to a little discussion I had with Gman over at his channel, Gman Boxing. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of current boxing issues, the cancelled women's card last Saturday. What do we think of that? We talked about Golovkin Canelo 3. We talked about the proposed Joshua Fury fight. All sorts of stuff. Go over, click on the link. After you watch this video, click on that link. Have a listen. It lasts for about an hour. We did talk about an awful lot of stuff. We covered a fair bit. So give G-Man a subscription if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Support his channel. He's nearly at 10k, so he's absolutely flying, and deservedly so. One of the best boxing channels on YouTube. So let's move to this fight, which is Canelo Alvarez against Gennady Golovkin, number 3. And I've got to be honest with you, I am a bit more excited about this fight than I first was, because when it was first mentioned, I thought, do we really need to see a third fight? Isn't it sort of more of the same, even though the first two fights were very, very close and very, very good. But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that both these fighters had problems in their previous fights adds, stirs the pot and adds to the suspense and the sort of different permutations that could arise from this fight, because I don't need to go over these guys' careers. You know about them. You know that they both had illustrious careers, both been incredible champions, both got iron jaws. There was a black mark over Canelo because he failed a drugs test. I do not overlook such things for anyone, not just Canelo, but anyone. To me, you'll always have a black mark hanging above you and a big question mark. But there's no denying that Canelo is a tough guy. He's got a good jaw. GGG's the same. Tough man. If you look at Canelo's last fight up at light heavyweight, it was just a division too far. He got outboxed by Dimitri Bivol. Now he's back at super middleweight. If he has a weakness, Canelo, I think it's that he is a little bit too conservative with his punch output, in the sense that he will only let his hands go if he's confident he can really land, and if he's got a guy softened up. Earlier on, in early rounds, he likes to sort of stalk, and look to almost place his punches rather than fire, say, a 4-punch combination in the hope that, with the intention that 2 will land full-bloodedly. He likes to be very precise with his punches. If it's going to be a 3 or 4 punch combination, he wants every one of those punches landing full-bloodedly. Does have a good jab, but sometimes he can neglect it. What does Golovkin have? Well, he has an excellent jab. So I think one of the keys to a Golovkin win will be that jab. Bivol gave Canelo all sorts of problems, kept him honest with the jab, kept him slightly off balance, slightly out of range, and reluctant to throw those precise punches, because he didn't feel he could land them. He felt that too many of those punches would be lost. He'd be hit in air, or it wouldn't connect properly, and so he kind of waited and stalked and stalked, in the same way that he did with Kovalev. Because, to me, Kovalev won many, many rounds in that fight, and I think he was ahead at the time when he got knocked out by Canelo. The opportunity to knock Bivol out, even though Canelo put his foot to the floor, in that, was it the final round or the final 2 rounds, he really tried to deal with Bivol, and he couldn't. He just couldn't find that finishing punch. And Bivol, of course, is younger and fresher than Kovalev, and probably a slicker, bit more of a shrewd boxer, slightly less textbook of a boxer, a bit more variety. Now, in his previous fight, Golovkin he won it. He won it on a 9th round KO over Ryota Murata, but not without problems. In the early rounds, he was taking some big punches to the body, which at one point had me thinking, it was very early on in the fight, I thought, if this carries on, Golovkin's getting stopped. What a shock that would be. Now, Murata, big, strong, Japanese middleweight, tough guy, but limited, untested, had been beaten before by relatively modest opposition, but nevertheless physically strong, was able to kind of manhandle Golovkin, whack him to the body, and Golovkin was definitely stung, hurt quite badly. There's no doubt Golovkin's chin is absolute concrete. To the body, he has shown vulnerabilities before. Sergei Derevyanchenko hurt him to the body, and Golovkin won a close, was it a unanimous decision? I think it was, but there was only a couple of points in it on two of the cards, maybe a point on the other one, if I remember rightly. I might have that wrong. But he can be hurt to the body, and Canelo fires very, very good body punches. So a main key to victory for Golovkin would be the jab. He's got to hit that jab, bang, 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 keep Canelo honest. For Canelo, do not try and be too precise with head punches. Use your own jab, you know the old saying, jab with a jabber. Make sure you're banging to the body from the word go. You know, really make Golovkin think about those body punches. Really make him, you know, be reluctant to raise his hands high enough for punches to slip through. I think that at 40 years of age, Golovkin, he isn't what he was, but my God, he's got a lot left. He's by no means a shot fighter. Actually, Gman and I were talking about this, and Gman made a good point during yesterday night's little discussion that we had. He was saying that he thought, with the benefit of hindsight, that it was a case of ring rust for Golovkin. He hadn't fought for 14 or 16 months or whatever it was, and it was ring rust that was showing, not really a vulnerability of age. I think that's probably, there's a fair chance that's right, actually. I think it was a rust shedder, dangerous against Murata, and Murata did win some of those early rounds, no doubt about it, and won them quite big, I think. But I don't know. I mean, at 40 years of age, yes, you can get old overnight. And if you're going to get old overnight, the person to do it against is not Saul Canelo Alvarez. On the other hand, Alvarez, he has that black mark above his head for me, because he failed the drugs test. Anyone who fails the drugs test will always have a big black question mark hanging over their head. All right. The thing that rankles with me about Canelo is that I think he probably carried on using illicit performance-enhancing drugs. Certainly throughout this, you know, that clear up he did of the super middleweight division, his body shape, the way he looked, the weight he put on, the muscle, it didn't look right to me. And do I have any proof? No, but we all know that Canelo is the WBC's pet project, and he got away with being found testing positive. He just flat out got away with it, and I don't think they're too fussed about whether he's taking PEDs or not. He is their darling. All four belts are on the line. Super middleweight, undisputed. Of course, Golovkin is moving up weight division. There is a possibility that, because he's not facing a guy who started life at, I mean, well, I think he turned very young at 15. So he was super feather initially at 15, and he moved through the ranks and won his first world title at light middle. Stayed at light middle for quite a while. Moved to middleweight. Then suddenly cleans up at super middle. If Canelo is not juicing, and I'm not convinced he isn't, but if he isn't, then I don't think the weight will be that much of a problem for Golovkin. I actually have a suspicion that Golovkin, having made middleweight for all those years, and now he's 40, that extra, 8 pounds might do him some good. It might give him a little bit more stamina. Now, it might slow him down a bit, I suppose. Well, is it just over half a stone? Yes, it might slow him down a bit, but Canelo is not particularly fast himself. He fires sharp single punches and 1-2s, but he's not really he's not a high volume puncher, and he's not so fast that you really are taken out of your rhythm. And I think with the excellence of his jab, Golovkin might be able to control Canelo, and the extra poundage might give a bit more weight to the jab and to his punches. Will it affect his stamina? I don't think so. I think Golovkin's always had terrific stamina. Canelo hasn't really. There's always been, it's not that he's got bad stamina. It's just that he's not really. Because he doesn't throw that many punches, because he takes periods of rounds off, and because he'll only let his hands really go when he feels the opponent has been softened up enough and is vulnerable. He's never had to fight, like a full 36 minutes at breakneck pace. Whereas Golovkin has had some real firefights. You know, the Derevanchenko fight was that was 36 hellacious minutes. Golovkin said he was unwell prior to that fight, but he just about got the job done, just about. And I think it's kind of interesting that actually, if you look back over recent years, neither man has really scored like a really big eye-catching knockout. I mean, okay, you can say Golovkin's beat Steve Rolls and what was it now? He eventually stopped Murata and he stopped Kamil Szeremeta, Szeremeta I think was undefeated in about 21, 22 fights. But these aren't, A-grade opponents. Neither has really looked like a killer in terms of punching power, or I don't think either of them. They've both got excellent chins, so if you take body punching out of the equation, I don't see either man stopping the other. Now, initially, my prediction was that this was before the Murata fight and the Bivol fight. I thought if they ever fight again, Canelo is probably going to stop him in about 6 with punches to the body. But then I saw Golovkin face Murata, and there was just something about the way he hung tough and came back from that very, very shaky start to let his hands go. And he looked like the Golovkin of old. Canelo against Bivol. He's a light heavyweight, he's a bigger guy, but Bivol ain't a gigantic light heavy. It's not like he's, Beterbiev or... I don't know whether Canelo's going to stop him. But if in doubt, when I'm making a prediction, if I really can't make up my mind, what I do is I go back to my instinctive gut reaction. So I will say, without any confidence whatsoever, that my prediction is going to be for Canelo to win this fight by stopping Golovkin late, probably to the body, in about 10 rounds. But I don't say that with any confidence. It could well go the distance. I do think Canelo will win, though. That's the guy I'm picking. If you want my prediction, it's definitely Canelo I'm picking. And also, of course, if it goes the distance, when has anyone ever given Golovkin a break on the cards? Canelo will get it on points. Don't forget the question. If you analyse the scorecards for Canelo against Bivol, there was some very, very, very questionable judging going on in those first 4 rounds. I mean, really questionable. Where rounds that clearly Bivol had won were going to Canelo. It was shocking. So I think kind of the fix might have been in, but then it became so obvious that Bivol was winning the fight that they couldn't really rob it. It was just it would have been too obvious a robbery. I think this fight will be nip and tuck, close enough. Both guys taking punches. I think it'll be too close for anyone to call robbery. And if it does go the distance, I fully expect Canelo to get the decision. But I'll stick with my initial gut reaction, which is that Canelo will stop Gennady Golovkin on his feet in about 10 rounds. But again, hey, if you could see where I am currently in the picks league, because I do this thing, where I'm, you make predictions. It's a predictions league. You make predictions, and then you're rated. And I think I'm barely in the top half of the draw. So my predictions are crap. Don't put any money on this prediction, but I'm sticking with it. 10-round stoppage for Canelo against Gennady Golovkin. It's going to be a good one. I think it will be a very, very good fight. What do you think? What are your predictions? I'm picking Canelo. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. What price a draw? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the like button. Double jab, subscription, like button. Thank you. Keep punching. We've got some good boxing this weekend. Hopefully no members of the royal family will die. We don't want any more cancel cards. They wouldn't cancel it in America anyway, but you know what I mean. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And thanks again for watching, and take care of yourself. Bye for now.